New
All right.
gallery view. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Murphy. I'm here back this time with softball assistant coach, Coach Giannicio. Coach, how we doing?
Good. How are you, Owen?
Not bad, not bad. So, obviously, with school closing, that means the spring season is also not going to be happening this year, which is, obviously sad for all the athletes. As you know, I play in the fall, so I know if this happened to me, it would be heartbreaking. So you got to feel for all the seniors and just all the players in general. Last year, you guys finished with an 8-16 record, so I'm sure it wasn't exactly what you imagined, but you had a strong team coming back this year. You had 10 returners and some good underclassmen. So can you talk a little bit about the team that you guys were putting together for this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's tough to think about what it could have been.
Yeah.
All the players we've had come back this year, had a lot of experience last year at the varsity level. So we were expecting them to come back even stronger, more experienced, understanding the game a little bit more, so many different aspects of just growth in the sport, which ultimately makes your team better. I don't care what sport it is. The more experience you have, the more games you've played in, it just makes you a better in competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you tried to stay in touch with the girls throughout this whole pandemic? Obviously, I'm sure the emotions are riding high right now. So have you been able to stay in touch with some of them?
Yeah, I mean, we've, Coach Holnick and I, as well as Coach Sanella, have emailed the girls workouts and stuff like that to stay in shape, hoping that we would eventually return to school and to the field, but obviously that's not happening this year. So that's a little bit of a downer, but, everybody's in the same boat. It's not just us. You know what I mean? It's not just the Raiders.
Yeah. You had a certain freshman last year, Maeve Kahora. She impressed from the start. She came in with the varsity team pitcher, if I'm correct. Can you talk about a little bit about your expectations for her this year? Because I know she was going to be a big part, even at such a young age.
Yeah, so Maeve came in as a freshman. She's an extremely hard worker, but she's also a great athlete to teach. Like whatever you tell her, she seems to try to apply to her game, which we're trying to make her the best pitcher we possibly can. Yeah. I mean, last year she had over 100 strikeouts as a freshman, which is impressive. This year I was, we were shooting for her to possibly strike out at least 150 hitters.
Yeah.
So now when you have a pitcher like that on the rubber who can throw the ball, by pretty much anybody at any given time, it makes your defense a little bit more relaxed because it's less plays that they have to make.
Yeah, definitely.
When she's striking out 8 to 10 to 12 kids a game, in a 7-inning game, is 3 outs per inning. It's 21 outs in a game. She's getting 10 to 12 via strikeout.
Yeah.
Your team only has to make half the plays. So it puts a lot of it's like a double-edged sword. It makes them more relaxed, but at the same time, it takes longer for them to have to make plays. There's more time in between. So it's kind of difficult. That's where you have to focus pitcher on the mound, but the people behind you have to be even more focused because all of a sudden she can mow down 4 girls via strikeout and then boom, ground ball, and then you're expected to make plays. So
absolutely,
it's difficult.
The good news about that, though, is that she's one of the people that will be returning in a few years with her. So, and there's a few other girls that obviously we have to mention. Julia Solsky and Cassie Novello were big last year as well, and would have been coming back for their last year this year. Can you talk about a little bit how they've impacted the program in their time here at Scotch Plains?
Yeah, so it's been a pleasure to coach not just these 3 athletes particularly, but the whole team. It's with seniors like Julia and Cassidy. You want to talk about hardworking individuals. Cassidy Novella is one of the hardest working female athletes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's seen her around town. You know,
Running.
she's always constantly working out, running,
Always running.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you also have Julia, who's more softball related work ethic. Her knowledge of the game is through the roof.
Yeah.
Every single aspect of the game, she's pretty much down pat. You know, and you have hers, our shortstop, or somewhere in the infield this year, Cassidy. Could play anywhere. She's usually she caught for us last year. She could play in the outfield. She could play third base. She could play first base, kind of like a utility player. And I'm sure if we had to move Julia around, she could play anywhere as well. I've seen her play in the outfield, and she could handle it. She could play any position in the infield for the most part, but she has great hands, great feet. She has a good release on the ball, so quick runner. She could get that ball out of her glove into where it's got to be on time. And Cassidy is just a workhorse.
Yeah.
So it's to be able to not to coach two girls like that in their senior year.
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. Especially like I feel for Julia because that's her main sport.
Yeah.
Cassidy, she's obviously going to college to play field hockey.
Right? Yeah.
And I know softball might be secondary, but she's still a very good softball player. And I think she could actually play somewhere in college as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just one last thing here. Do you have anything else to say to the seniors that have been in this program for a while and that you've worked with and seen develop for 4 years now?
Yeah, I mean, I just, it's hard to put it into words because I don't know what they're feeling. I've never had anything like this happen to me in my playing career.
Yeah.
First thing that ever happened to me in my coaching career or something like this. So I don't know what it's like to have that feeling of not being able to do something.
Yeah,
Usually by your senior year, you're at the top of your game, or you should be at the top of your game. And a lot of these girls, or a lot of our athletes, period, across the board, male, female, didn't get an opportunity to play something that they've been playing their whole life in one of the best years of their lives, their senior year. So that's what I feel for them for. But there wasn't one day that went by that I didn't enjoy being with them, coaching them, encouraging them, watching them succeed, picking them up when they would fail. And I miss that aspect of it. I miss being around them. They're all the best. I love them to death. And I just wish them well on their next endeavors. And I'm sure I'll be seeing them around town anyway.
Definitely. Yeah, well, thank you for taking the time to talk a little bit about the softball team. And stay safe.
Thank you, Owen.